Let's play a game called Jam. There are 8 stores, and the first person to capture one wins. Those stores are Diagonal Designs 1, Left Hand Emporium, Rock Bottom Outlets, Center Mall, Top Tier Fashions, Right Choice Retailers, Middle Child Clothing, and finally, Diagonal Designs 2. The way that you capture a store is by creating a traffic jam around it, using these roads here. Specifically, we will take turns selecting a road. If at any point a player has captured all of the roads that lead to a particular store, the game is over and that player wins. For example, a game might play out like this. You could start by selecting Wait Way. On my opening move, I could take Fifth Avenue. On your second turn, you might select Artwork Avenue. I could follow up with 4th Street. And you, being strategic, might recognize the fact that if I were to take 6th Street on my turn, I would win because I would have all of the roads that lead to Diagonal Designs 2, and thus you would take 6th Street to block me from doing that. Now, I'm also strategic, and I might realize the fact that you have Wait Way and 6th Street, which both lead to Rock Bottom Outlets up top. And so I need to take Honey Highway to block you from winning on the next turn. But it appears that you're actually better than me because you could then take 7th Street and guarantee the win anyway, this time having Artwork Avenue, 6th Street, and 7th Street to take control of Right Choice Retailers. That's a jam, and so you are victorious. Congratulations. Going back to the start of the game, here's your puzzle. Can you design a strategy that guarantees you the victory, no matter what I do in response? And while you think about that, check out some of these cool books that I've written. Your hint for today is to think long and hard about what the underlying dynamics are of the game of Jam. Are you ready for the solution? It turns out that was a trick question. You cannot guarantee yourself the victory. Instead, if I am playing strategically, the best that you can hope to do is corner me into a tie. Now that you know that, perhaps pause for another few seconds to think about how to force the draw. And as a deeper hint, this game is actually a restructuring of another game that we've previously covered on this channel. And that game is also another restructuring, this time of a game that you've been playing probably since childhood. Was that enough to give it away? This is in fact a game known as Number Scramble. It's not a coincidence that I've named all of those streets with a number within them. Some of them are obvious, like 6th Street or 5th Avenue or 4th Street, but Artwork has 2 buried in it, Wait has 8 buried in it, Honey Highway has a 1 in it, and Canine Concourse has a 9. And if you think about each of those roads as being the numbers up there, you might also recognize that the names of all of the stores are also hints to the underlying solution. In Number Scramble, the goal is to select exactly 3 numbers that sum to 15. But all we've done in this game is repurpose those numbers into roads, and have each of the ways of forming 3 in a row within that 3x3 grid now being represented by the stores. For example, Top Tier Fashions takes Artwork Avenue, 4th Street, and Canine Concourse. That's 2, 4, and 9, which corresponds to the 4, 9, 2 in the top row of the 3x3 grid. Middle child clothing is 3rd Street, 5th Avenue, and 7th Street, which corresponds to the middle row, 3, 5, 7. Rock bottom outlets corresponds to Waite Way, 6th Street, and Honey Highway, 8, 6, and 1, corresponding to the 8, 1, and 6 in the bottom row of the 3x3 grid. We can keep going with this. Left-handed Emporium is 8, 3rd, and 4th, corresponding to 4, 3, and 8, the left column in the 3x3 grid. Center Mall is 1, 5, and 9, corresponding to the 9, 5, and 1 in the center column of the grid. And Right Choice Retailers is 2, 7, and 6, again corresponding to the 2, 7, and 6 in the right column of the grid. That leaves only 2 others. Diagonal Designs, which is 8, 5, and 2, corresponding to one of the diagonals, and Diagonal Designs 2, which is 6th, 5th, and 4th, corresponding to the other diagonal in the grid. Once you make all of those connections, what you might realize is that what we're actually playing is a game of tic-tac-toe using the number grid. If you go back to the game that we played as a sample to start this video, your first move was to select the 8. I then chose a 5. You followed up with a 2. I took a 4, which was a misplay, because clearly in a game of tic-tac-toe, if I choose the 4, you choose the 6, and you've successfully created a fork. Now I have to simultaneously choose 1 and 7 on my turn to keep you from winning, which obviously I cannot do. So to answer the original question to the game, you play this like it's tic-tac-toe, using the number grid above to make sure that you're playing it correctly. If you go first, you're guaranteed to at least draw, and it's possible if you play this game against an unsuspecting opponent that they will misplay, and that will allow you to win. And as it turns out, until you make the connection to the number grid, this game is somewhat difficult to play the first few times you run through it. And if you present it to a friend, you may very well come out victorious, despite the fact that it trivially should be easy to draw if you actually know what you're doing here. Did you figure this one out? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.